This is a huge difference. We did spend some time into social media for the simple reason that social media is a great marketing tool and it's very inexpensive. And we do realize that a lot of businesses here in town aren't up to date, as well as maybe our students who probably teach a class in it. But I have brought up to Mr. Moyer that there should be something done in town with the business people where they're taught more about the social media, how to really, really make it work, about the websites, the reciprocal linking, and to get in more of a partnership with each other in town. And I think that the students came about to agree with that you could do each other more service if you worked with each other. You know, whether you offered something, say from a motel. If they stayed at a motel and came to Pine Mountain Jamboree, they got a certain percentage off or something. You know. Another thing that's been brought up too, and they did cover it on passes, is making sure that you had gift cards. And I'm not too sure because I didn't see it. And that is, besides your popcorn, what else, you know, do you sell that you could lend your branding to? You know, to really get into that branding. But those were the only things I didn't see. What do you think?
Well, I think that it's best that we bring our leaders back up here and let's grill them a little bit. You guys have gotten off really easy, and we can't have that nonsense, right?
No. And
you're right.
Also, other recommendations that we just
Mrs. Lavender may have a question.
Oh, Mrs. Lavender, do you have a question for our? Let me start by saying, Mike, Crescent team, thank you all for lending your time. Obviously, the groups really care about your businesses. So that's really why they put a lot of heart and soul, and they've learned a lot about it. And I think it's been a really rewarding process. But even though that's nice and touchy-feely, grill these guys with some good questions here. Let's hear it. Miss Lavender, start us off.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to know from each one of them, how long did it take you for this project? How much time did you spend going out to the Pine Mountain Jamboree, going to the Crescent? How much time did you have to spend on this?
Oh, going out to the Pine Mountain Jamboree, I really didn't have to. I know the business like it's the back of my hand.
Okay.
I mean, it basically took a semester for us to get this all down and prep. I mean, it was a lot of time and effort we put into this.
Okay, and I think you made some great points about targeting the young people. I think that's, you know, I like the music, but I know which age group I fall in. So I think that was a good suggestion that you had.
I think one of the keys for the semester was it was a little bit different teaching style, maybe.
You brought in the speakers first.
Well, but each speaker, we introduced the business plan very early on, right?
Okay.
That was maybe months ago at this point.
Okay.
And then every time a speaker came in, they were asked to call at least one point to include in their business plan.
Okay.
So when they summarized and when we went back and looked at all the notes that have been taken, which were a lot, they then could go back to the note and pull one of the items from each of the speakers. And of course, we've had some pretty good speakers, so they did real well with that.
And then my question for you then would be, this poll that you did, Jordan, how many people did you poll to make it a valid survey?
For the age 12 and under, well, 18 and under, we didn't really do anything because it's our years.
Okay.
And for the other age groups, we called our parents and our grandparents, and also for the 35 to 55 age group, we called other hotels to ask what they thought they would like in a hotel and how we could incorporate into the
And they did use their cell phone for class. But we monitored it extremely carefully.
Oh, she loved that.
Sorry.
Yeah, you didn't have to mention that.
Listen, I taught you how to. It's also sometimes easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. All right, come on. Mike Bishop has a question.
I do. First of all, Avery and your team, thank you all for giving us just a fresh look from a different set of eyes to our business. And I've got a couple questions that are really important to me because it was encouraging and discouraging at the same time. A couple of things. One, when you referred to the color, for example. Now, I've made a career of entertainment marketing and tourism in the Ozarks. Several years ago, we were using the red and yellows in our color, and we were led to believe that kind of dated us, and so we went away to the different colors. So I'm glad to hear. I'd like to hear y'all a little bit more on thought of that. I mean, because I may have very well made a wrong decision by doing that.
I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna take you off the hook here, but I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Me?
Yep. Okay. This is one of your target markets. Actually, let me start by saying, Mike, when the group started, they said you have seniors and kids and nothing in the middle.
Right.
Okay? And these guys are in the middle. These are not the 1200s. So they pulled up Presley's website. And Eva, I'm going to ask for you to tell that story. Okay?
Okay, we were comparing your site to Presley's site,
Mm-hmm.
and Jack came over to me and asked me, would you go to Pine Mountain? And I said, probably not. And he said, would you go to Presley's? I said, yes. And he asked me why, and I was like, it looks fun. It just looks appealing, to people our age.
Good. It was all off of the website that maybe generationally you could cross that. Plus, the group seemed to enjoy seeing more like minds there. Jake, I think you mentioned it. When they were talking about younger entertainers, they were really talking about generational entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
Younger entertainers to sing younger performances. Am I saying this right, guys?
Yes.
And they also, and I think you mentioned it, but they really thought bringing the gospel out for the older generation seemed to be a strength, right? Good.
And the other question I had.
One more for you.
The other question I had, because here again, this is something we've wrestled long and hard with it, and I know we've created a confusion factor with the name, because for years and years it was established as the Pine Mountain Jamboree. The Jamboree, to a lot of folks, is dated or outdated in itself, but you all gave me a whole different perspective. You presented something fun, and so maybe we should. It's given me pause to think about maybe we should keep that in our name more so. We were afraid that when the Ozark Mountain Show started, when Presley's and some of the others began, the jamborees, jubilees, hay rides, opries, those were go words to drive that market of the day to the shows. But we thought that by today's standards, and by the generation today, they would not relate to those same names. And so that may have been why.
We would phrase that a little differently to Avery because they spent quite a bit of time on that. You had discounted theater sort of as a noun. That's a place. But you looked for an action word, and you debated a few, but you ended up on Jamboree. Why did you come back to Jamboree?
I mean, it was just kind of how I usually see Pine Mountain as. I always see it as this fun place to go to, kind of celebration.
Good. And Jamboree worked for you better than any other words, right?
Pretty much.
And remember too, when you were talking about website and colors like that, it evolves and changes like everything else. Students are wearing clothing that Mrs. Lavender and I wore, back in our time, okay? I think it's cool now. But it's the same thing with websites and your colors. And if you just, I went over and looked at their presentation, and when they brought it up with the yellows and the reds, immediately I smiled, okay? You give me your blues and your blacks and those other colors, I just kind of get all mellowed out a little bit. So you want to do a change up on your websites at least once a year.
Hey, here's the other thing, Mike, on that, and I know Mandy had a question. Eden was still going to Presley's, but the guys weren't necessarily. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Right? Amanda, you had a question?
Yeah, I know that Pine Mountain, you all did a competitive market research with the Presleys and the Ozark Hoedown. Did the Crescent do competitive market research with other businesses?
We went to the Mohawk and,
Website?
No, you're right. You're competitive analysis of the three.
what? I'm sorry, I'm confused.
What were the three businesses that you looked at? You were right. Mohawk House.
And then,
Reggie's helping me. Reggie, what are they, Reggie?
Mohawk Mountain House in New Carlton, New York. Hilton Milwaukee City Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the JW Marriott Essex House, New York, in New York.
Now, they did not bring up about the horse trails. They were really thrilled about the horse trails at one.
yeah, they're cool.
Well, and there was a couple of things, right? They were all historic hotels of America, right? And tell us what you thought the one thing that the Crescent is short on. We don't have enough
Activities to do.
Don't have enough activities. Bird watching, horse trails, et cetera, et cetera. So to become a real resort, you guys did not connect to our activities with the exception of those tours and pool, right?
Yeah, because they do shuffleboard. Did you used to have a shuffleboard?
Jody wound up for a wedding space. Kayla has a question.
Oh.
With all the activities, you have the horseback riding and the bird watching. You brought up fitness center. Is that something that most of those resorts have anyway, even if they have all those other activities?
Yes.
How important is that?
So we looked up how important it actually was, and people said that that's what they really look for, is a pool and like a fitness center and then activities throughout the day. So a fitness center could be like at night when you're like, I want to be at the hotel, but I want to do something. So they can go to the fitness center, maybe like take a shower then and then go to the pool, or go to the pool, take a shower, and then go to the fitness center. Really, just however.
Most of them feel a lot better after they've eaten crap all day long. If they go and they work it off.
That's where the sweet shop comes in. You need ice cream all day and then exercise all day.
Jody has a question.
Yes, Jordan, from a sales perspective, you just said that you felt like we needed to reach out more. Specifically, where do you feel like we ought to reach out more? Did you have specific, like geographic regions or market segments?
We noticed that in the sales, we do spread out to a far distance, but that's why we also thought it was a good idea to target towns that aren't as popular as Oklahoma City and stuff like that, because there are still people there and they are still big towns. Like such as Fayetteville, there's people that market in Fayetteville that are like not too far away, like an hour and a half drive or something. So
Did you
just
mention Conway?
yes,
Why did you guys land on Conway?
because it was big. It had a lot more people, and it seemed very appropriate.
Kayla?
I got kind of confused on that because you were talking about how you wanted to go further than Little Rock,
No, sorry, my husband.
but Conway's not further than Little Rock.
No, we thought that it would be a good idea to expand farther, but we didn't really know how far that we wanted to expand, because they do have a 3.5 hour drive radius that seems to reach everything, but not the smaller towns. So we wanted to expand more, but we thought that you guys had it in for a reason. So we thought that maybe you could look at it as expanding to bigger, but only if it helps your business. But we thought that it would be better just to expand it to Little.
Well, and just putting on the teacher hat again, a lot of times those secondary cities, those are called secondary cities, don't get the pulse media. They're sort of, they get Little Rock TV, but every single one of those secondary cities has a newspaper. Like Eureka Springs has 2 newspapers, which is weird. But like Tulsa, right? That's a big city. But most people that have higher income live in a suburb called Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow has its own newspaper. So you can cull a strategy and target people more directly.
I think another thing that we were trying to do, because Eureka Springs, and we have talked about it a little bit in class, has become more of a, 2-day weekend destination, you know, and trying to attract customers during the week, maybe where you go to these other cities and you offer some kind of a package type deal, stay at the Crescent Hotel, such and such a price, get a ticket to the Pine Mountain Jamboree. You know, but what we're trying to discuss with everybody is working amongst yourselves, you know, to try to improve everybody's business.
What were some of the, oh, go ahead.
That's what we were talking about with the whole creating ripples thing, is creating such a big event that it spreads out and helps everybody else. So, like the whole, our example was the bicycles and barbecue. It helps restaurants and bars and hotels and still probably like Pine Mountain.
Make a ripple, right?
I mean, yeah. All right.
What were some of the words that you guys didn't know what they were and should be highlighted?
Resort casual.
Okay.
Like, we didn't know if it was like casual clothing, but then we later realized it's like dressy up. Like, it's not dressy up like dress, it's like, work clothes.
So like hotel terminology that we use every day, but you guys might not know.
Yeah.
what it is. Okay. All right. Okay. I thought there were going to be some food recommendations in there.
Yes.
What?
I thought there were going to be some food recommendations in there. You have to
What
check
we
that.
are going to do is to allow you to meet with your group. They can stay and the rest of them will leave the room. And you get a chance to talk to them more one-on-one. And because you can meet your group over there and here, and you can discuss more things and the rest of them will go back to the classroom if you don't mind.
Fantastic.
Okay?
Thank you all.
Thank you again.